guys, welcome back to Book Talk with Meg. My name is Megan for those of you who don't know. Hi, welcome, hope you stick around. If you decide to, do not forget to click the subscribe button down below. It'll notify you when I upload new videos. Today I am here with my October wrap-up and November TBR. I am simply combining both because October was a very hectic month for exams in school. I had some of my most important exams pretty much ever as a student. Therefore, I only read one book, which I will talk to you guys about. If you're not interested in my wrap-up, I will leave a timestamp down below. Therefore, you can go click on it and only see the books I am planning to read during the month of November. So without further ado, let's hop on in. The only book I read in October, which is pretty appropriate, is City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This book is a middle grade book and it is, I believe, just under 300 pages long. It is a great book. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. This was my first Victoria Schwab book and I was not sure if I was going to enjoy her writing style or not. Obviously this is a little bit different because it is a middle grade, but I absolutely adored it. I loved the simplicity of the writing, but how it grabbed my attention from the first page. If you guys have seen my campfire tag, which I will link up in the cards if you have not, I talk about how this book really did grip me from the first page, and I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. First off, our main character, who is called Cass, has this ability to see ghosts and she can travel through what is called a veil. Basically, she lives in the regular world, but she had a near-death experience, which gives her the ability now to cross into the veil, where she can see the veil, cross over, and see ghosts. Basically, she has this intuition where she feels a presence and she can see the story of how this person died. I won't go into too much more detail because I feel like that would be spoiling the book, but I really did enjoy the premise of this book. This book takes place in Edinburgh and I really loved the detail about the city and the history behind it, and I think that this was very well written. I have heard that Victoria Schwab has spent a lot of time in Edinburgh. I'm not sure it's because she had a home there or something of the sorts, but I feel like it helped make the book that much more realistic, even though it is kind of like a fantasy paranormal book. I feel like the main character was something I could actually relate to, even though I can't see ghosts. I think that her friendships with her imaginary ghost friend, is it really imaginary? I don't really know. But I really enjoyed that friendship. I enjoyed that the parents were very present in this book and that they were very supportive of our main character, and I liked that there were a lot of Harry Potter references in this book because a lot of Harry Potter takes place where our main character goes, and so she talks a lot about it and it has like an importance in her life, which I think added some charm to the main character and the story overall. I think this was a very fast read. I read this in like 2 sittings. One mainly being in my doctor's waiting room, so I flew by this book and I'm really enjoying it. Recommend it. Not too spooky, and overall just a very pleasurable time. 5 out of 5 stars. Would recommend. Now we're going to jump into the November TBR, which this month I tried not to make it too ambitious. I realized that I wasn't hitting any books because I feel like I put too much pressure on myself to read and not enough just to enjoy the stories, and I've been making reading more about numbers because I'm not doing super well on my Goodreads goal. I read 33 out of 52 books and we only have 2 months left in the year, but you know what, guys? Life happens. I wasn't planning on meeting my boyfriend this year. I wasn't planning on having such a grand old time, but a difficult time with my last year of college before I move on to university, so it piles up, but I'm still very proud of what I'm accomplishing. So with that little disclaimer out of the way, I will present you guys my November TBR. The first book on my November TBR I have started reading already, and that is What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. I am 51% done with this book and I anticipate being done in the next few days, so maybe I will be done once November 1st hits, but I don't know, which is why I'm putting it in my TBR, and I am absolutely adoring this book, but this is not the point of my review. I'm not doing a review. Basically, this book follows 2 main characters, Ben and Arthur, and both of them are living in New York. Arthur is just visiting New York for a few months but is actually from Georgia, and then we have Ben, who is a real New Yorker, and basically they have this kind of meet cute at the post office, and so the story goes from there, and I'm really enjoying this so far. I think I like Arthur's character a little bit more than Ben's, but I love the love story. Again, very present parents in this book, which not a lot in YA, which I really appreciate. I love the friend aspects. I feel like these are very healthy relationships, and I am all for it. So yeah, that's a basic premise of this book. The next book, I'm honestly kind of ashamed I haven't read that yet, and that is Escaping from Houdini by Carrie Maniscalco. This is the third book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which if you've been on my channel for a while, you know is my absolute favorite series, and if not, I think you could have guessed by me holding Hunting Prince Dracula in my thumbnail picture. Anyways, this is the third book, so I can't tell you much about it, but I can tell you about Stalking Jack the Ripper. Stalking Jack the Ripper follows our main character, Audrey Rose, and her kind of like sidekick love interest, Thomas Creswell, while they kind of solve the Jack the Ripper murders that are kind of like reimagined. This story takes place in a time period where women and science don't really go together, if you're like following those norms, but Audrey Rose is basically doing autopsies on bodies with her uncle, and the entire story goes from there. I think the best element in this book is definitely the romance, and so I have loved following the characters, and I also love the mysteries. In my eye, they're very well done. I love the description of the different settings. This one takes place on a cruise ship that is going to America, and I could not be more excited. If you guys didn't know, I did get this copy from Amazon, but I also got a signed copy, which I don't want to touch, but I plan on annotating this copy like crazy and doing a full review once I have read this. Even though it's a little late, I feel like it's still going to be relevant since it's my favorite series. The next book on my TBR is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I'd love to give you guys a synopsis of this, but everyone who has read this book is like, oh, you should go into this book blind, or it's too complicated to actually talk about. So you know what? I'm just gonna let you guys know I'm planning on reading Strange the Dreamer. This is like a fantasy book about a world called Weep and a character named Laszlo Strange. Apparently it's a very slow book, a very beautifully written book. Not sure if it's going to be up my alley or not, but I did buy Muse of Nightmares, the UK edition, so I need to push myself to get through this. It's a lot of people's favorite books. Sorry about the reflection, guys. I feel like I'm blinding you guys. So yeah, I plan on reading this. It is a bigger book, so I think I'm going to start crunching on it and read it little by little to actually finish this, and even if I get really invested in the book, then I can drop my other books and just finish this. The next book I want to read is basically me being in a mood for contemporary reads, which I feel like I haven't been in a long time, but What If It's Us definitely put me back on that train, and that is Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This follows our main character Elle, and Elle is like a solid fangirl, and she is really in love with this, I think it's a show, and it is called Starfield, which a lot of people say is similar to Star Trek. And it is basically like a convention kind of story where there's like some issues with one of the characters who plays in the show that Elle really loves, and I think the whole story takes off from there. This is kind of like Geekerella Cinderella kind of thing, and I think that anything that involves a fandom is very interesting. I know a lot of people have raved about this book. I think I'm really going to enjoy this. This is a short read as well, and I'm really in the mood for contemporary, so I think this is an excellent pick for my November TBR. My last physical book I want to try to get to, this one I might not, who knows, is A Season of Daring Greatly by Ellen Emerson White, and this is not a book that is talked about a lot on BookTube, which is very unfortunate because I feel like its premise is very, very interesting. This book follows our main character Jill, and Jill is making history by becoming the first female to be ever drafted in MLB baseball, which, if you guys didn't know, favorite sport is baseball. I played fast pitch for over 10 years, so this book is highly relatable. Basically, the premise of the story is that Jill has to leave everything behind after high school because she is drafted for this team, and it makes a lot of controversy because a lot of people think she should not be doing this, and it catches the media's attention, and I think it kind of like flips her life on her head, and it has to do with doing what you believe and working hard for what you want, even though sometimes people will disagree with what you are doing. This sounds like a fantastic read. Again, we'll be reviewing this one because I have not seen anyone talk about this book, and it's not a super old book, and it is by Epic Reads, so I mean that's a well-known publisher. I just don't know what happened, but I will be letting you guys know what I think once I've gotten through this book. So one other book I want to read is on my Kindle, and I'm like 65% done with it, and that is Seafire by Natalie C. Parker. This is like a pirate story about sisterhood and girls coming together and kind of like taking revenge on family, well, for family, and I am loving this book. This book is definitely a 5-star read so far, but I just need more time to get through it. Again, my schooling has very much reduced, so I have much more time. Like, I'm weekly vlogging, so please look out for that. I've been working very, very hard on my vlogs, and a lot of good things are happening to me right now, so if you want to stay updated on my daily life, check out my vlogs. They will be coming your way weekly now. And yeah, really loving that. And finally, a new release in the month of November I want to get to is Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, which is the sequel to this bad boy, which is Renegades. And basically, Renegades is the first in a series, and it is kind of like a supervillain slash hero book because we have this group of people called the Renegades who are kind of like the good guys, in parentheses, and they kind of like control the city, kind of like the police force would be in this world. And then we have anarchists who are kind of like the rebelling people who want to destroy the renegades. And what I really enjoyed about this book is that it really explored the concept of morally gray, because the good characters aren't necessarily good and the bad characters have a reason for being bad, which they're not really even bad, it's just life experiences in this book have created amazing characters that have very high convictions and want very specific things, and that is obviously creating conflict. I love the characters in this book. I loved a dual perspective, and I just wanted more once I finished it. This is like one of the biggest books I've read, especially this year, so I'm anticipating that Arch Enemies will be as big, but you know what? I'm all for it. It comes out November 6th, and I will try to, again, read it as soon as it comes out, try to make a review out of it, and I just really hope I enjoy this as much as I enjoyed Renegades, because this was definitely a 5-star read. That's it for my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please, also, I've been working super hard on my Bookstagram. I took some pictures and I will be uploading them, so please go give me a follow. I'll put my Instagram handle right on the screen down below. You guys also let me know what you're reading for the month of November, and I will see you in my next video soon. Bye guys, happy reading!